Hi, this is Stan. Well, we're talking little kid on Christmas morning here, so let's get into it. Well, I am really excited. You know, I've wanted to get into some 3D printing for years now. The marketplace is pretty stabilized, especially at the bottom end. And so, well, now's the time for me to put my toe in the water. I wanted to get into some entry-level equipment, and it just so happens that my son-in-law, Chris, he's into 3D printing. And I said, what should I do? And he said, get this machine, watch that video, get some plastic from over here, basically. So I just did whatever Chris told me to do. Basically, this is the Creality machine. It's a bottom end machine, and so let's take a look at it. Ender 3 VESE, definitely entry level. I've also got a spool of PLA that should be arriving today as well. I ended up buying this not through Amazon or any other vendor. I went right to Creality and ordered this off their website. Pretty excited. Let's see what's in the box. Alright, there's all the foam protecting. Here's all the smarty stuff. Installation guide, we'll take a look at that. I'm at the age now where there's no shame in actually reading the manual. A little bit of sample PLA, some giblets here. Power. I think this is a little brain that goes with it. This unit is for 230 volts or 115. I got to make sure that it's flicked over in USA power here, 115 volts. And this is the gizmo that will mount on top of the gantry for the spool. And I love a good gadget. Okay, there's the gantry. There's the print head and the nozzle. And the little belt drive that connects these two shafts. So I will carefully set this aside. And the main assembly. Now we're out in the shop, of course, but this is not where this machine will live, but it's where we're going to put it together. And right now, while I'm thinking of it, let's go ahead and flip the switch over to 115 volts. And what do you say we man up and actually read the book? And there's all the giblets, and look at this, a cool little pack of tools that we can use to assemble. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install that tall gantry frame, and the aluminum extrusion, it's all shaped on the base so you can't get it backwards. So from the bottom we're going to bolt up on the two vertical pieces of the gantry, and then over here there's an extra little plastic flange that's going to get bolted in from the top. All right, all 6 little bolts are in from the bottom. I had to put just a slight outward pressure on these vertical members to get them to pop into the channel on the base. So after those 6 bolts that hold these verticals in on the gantry, there are 2 little bolts that go in here on this support bracket that hangs back. And that is the main essential part of the assembly. The rest of it is little bits and bobs. Alright, next is our display screen, and that will get mounted here down on the side with these 3 bolts. I'm going to pull the mounting bracket off to make it just a little bit easier to get at these bolt heads. Alright, the bracket is on there with 3 screws. Here's our display screen. The plug is keyed, so it can only go in one way. And boom, we're in business. So now back up on top, this is where the material spool will go. We'll mount this up on top with 2 screws. And there we go. For those of us who played with erector sets when we were kids, we could do this stuff blindfolded, because when we were like 7, we were putting things together with tools, with nuts and bolts. Okay, time to plug in the main cable here to the extruder head. It's notched, so it can't go in backwards. Now, when this gantry section arrived in my box, this bar here with the printer head was all the way up to the top of the gantry. So that means that you got to pay attention when this main extruder cable gets plugged in here to the head. Make sure it's not looped over the top of the gantry, but actually underneath. I actually screwed the gantry down just a little bit to make sure that this cable had some clearance down here. Next, we had to mash this cable into this plastic clip. There's a little signage on here to show you where that's done. And then the X-axis motor has to get attached to this extra little cable here with this white connector. Again, it's keyed, so you can't get it in upside down. And then down at the bottom, our little Z-axis motor has to be plugged in, and we do that right here. So if you're not familiar with this kind of a machine where you've got a 3-dimensional area up and down, as this head moves up and down, that is called the Z-axis. The X-axis is back and forth from left to right when you're facing the machine, and the Y-axis is front to back. So Y, X, and Z. Time to pull off the screen cover on the display, and there are many reminders both in the book and on the piece of equipment to make sure that you get the voltage set properly for the country that you're in, because this is an international machine, and here in the US 115 is the setting that we want. Ta-da! And package 2 of 2. I mean, come on, if you're going to print in plastic, it might as well be bright red plastic. And one more French fry down in the bottom of the bag. Well, looks like some high fashion here. There we are. I don't know. I don't think I have the figure anymore for t-shirts, but you never know. Fingers crossed. Let's fire it up. Got some lights and I can hear a fan running. I'm going to go with English. Okay, now I think we dive into the world of software. Well, I'm not going to bore you with any of the software shenanigans because I have no idea what I'm doing. I did put the white filament that came with the unit on there, went through a few of the menu selections, and as you can see, it's doing something. So, I don't know. But I'm at ground zero, I'm at kindergarten, so I'm not going to say anything about how to work the machine. I think assembling the machine was the easy part for me. Anyway, I hope this has been interesting, and I'll drop the needle now and then to let you know what my progress is like in the fascinating world of 3D printing. I am not going to change the channel into a 3D print channel by any means. But let's see what happens. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you right here next time. Well, after about an hour or so, there it is. My first print. I'm more of a dog person personally, but I'll take this cat. It was the sample file that came with the printer. $200 plastic cat. Well, there you go. Red kitty, white kitty. I think that's enough for one day. I'm out of here.